Greetings, NullSpace faithful, and welcome to another exciting episode. I'm Scott Null.
I am Jerry, aka Captain Nostalgia.
And today we're talking about one of the most anticipated games in probably gaming history.
Ricochet 2.
Ricochet 2. Despite the fact that there has been practically nothing about this game. Now, I'm not talking about Ricochet. Practically nothing about this game is real when you hear about it, but we're talking about Half-Life 3 today. Half-Life 3.
I feel like I just stole a joke from the internet.
Why?
Unfortunately. Well, there's a cartoon that was on YouTube. It's like, Ricochet 2! And then Gabe falls out with like a giant bulldozer. He's like a fat body. He's like... and they just refuse to talk about Half-Life 3.
Oh, well, Half-Life 3 is the discussion today. So, what we're going to talk about is, first of all... Oh, and also, this is our first episode. We're going to be porting to YouTube. So, hello, YouTube, as well.
Hi, YouTube. We're gonna join you with all the other fucking creeps.
Yeah, you're gonna. Another gaming duo joins YouTube. I think.
I'm glad. We'll be the only ones. Trust me.
Yeah, and no one's done this before.
Ever.
Yeah.
Nobody's even put their own podcast on YouTube.
Original idea, do not steal, by the way. All right. What I'm going to be doing is, since my history with Half-Life is, I'm a, I guess, late adapter here. I didn't pick up Half-Life until I had played Half-Life 2 on Orange Box. So that's pretty late in the game for this series.
That's late, but at least you fucking played it, man. That's all I can say about that.
So I'm going to be asking you, Captain Nostalgia, with all of your nostalgia. No! First of all, about Half-Life, and then we'll move on to Half-Life 3 and why it's fucking important. So let's start. Jerry, what was Half-Life?
Half-Life to me?
No, what was Half-Life?
Oh, Half-Life. It's a fucking awesome game that I think everybody should play because it's kind of like the staple of like Mario Brothers, like how everybody reverts back to Mario of like, this is how platforming works. Look how well it did. It did this and measures that and blah, blah, blah. And the physics of this you can control right in midair. Like everybody uses that Mario as a staple to like work off of.
Kind of like a starting point.
Exactly. Half-Life is exactly that for first-person shooters for the longest times, and even for like storytelling that actually didn't have like I was like a long time ago, blah blah blah. No, it didn't give you like kind of like that kind of sort of like RPG elements.
So there was no exposition. It was you were basically you were in the story when it started, and it would tell through the gameplay.
Essentially, yeah. And it's you kind of work around, you find things would unravel as you progress throughout the game. Like finding like little secret dialogues of people walking around, and you're like finding all these like little things behind doors, and you were exploring it, not somebody like, go over here and do this so you can for story. Like it wasn't like that.
So explain Half-Life the game as if I've never played it.
You are I forgot what kind of scientist you are.
He's a theoretical physicist.
He's a theoretical physicist.
Reminding you I've never played it. Go on.
And the beginning of the game was pretty awesome because you were taken down underground of these long tunnels that takes literally about like 5 to 10 minutes. But these are like the opening credits, and you get to see how deep and how big this facility is of going down of like, with contracts that they have and like the power that they, control. And if you actually just find it, you can find a secret man called G-Man, and nobody knows what kind of capabilities this man have or whatever like that. So it's like a
you
secret
are terrible at explaining this game.
I'm kind of like running it by the beginning. I'm sorry.
So just the very basics. What is Half-Life?
You run, jump, shoot, and think.
It's a first-person shooter with platforming puzzles?
Platforming puzzles, and yeah.
Yeah?
That's essentially it.
Okay, there.
And then, basically two worlds meld together from one dimension to another dimension into one.
So it's also sci-fi.
Very sci-fi.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can move on to the more detailed stuff. Why was Half-Life so good? Back in if you look at it today, it's a linear first-person shooter.
Essentially, yeah, it kind of is.
So why is this so important?
It told a good story without being forced down your throat, and it did something different than the genre was already used to, because we had Doom back in the Doom was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Doom is essentially the first 2.5D shooter that everyone thinks of. I believe Wolfenstein 3D may have beaten it.
It's a 1.5D shooter.
What?
1.5.
No, So we had Doom, we had games like that. You had
even Duke Nukem 3D. There was not much like storyline. You just run gun and fucking shoot aliens, blow up shit. You were like a satire of a a 90s action film.
So I mean, when you have games like GoldenEye, which came out before Half-Life, but GoldenEye was basically the next step in first-person shooting for like the 64 era.
I believe for like console platform, console multiplayer was really what was at that point.
So why is Half-Life regarded higher in the evolutionary chain of game development?
Probably because PC Master Race.
Yeah, other than that.
No, I think they actually, like I said, when I first played Half-Life, unfortunately it was on the PlayStation 2. I didn't have a big enough PC back in the day, and I was still getting into PC gaming. I was a late bloomer in my teens. Anyway,
Gross.
I know.
Don't talk about your blooming.
I will talk about my PC blooming all the time.
Ugh.
PCB. PC blooming.
Okay, anywho.
So, no, I played it on PS2, which is a huge downfall because the game is relatively really big, and I was used to playing first-person shooter games that is like, hey, beat this one level 1's done, you keep on progressing on to the stage 2, stage 3, whatever.
Very segmented, episodic almost.
Exactly. Half-Life did not have that. It never broke up into levels. You basically just ran through it like one giant experience. Like, I was like, when is the first level over? Because I was playing it for like an hour. And I'm like, okay. And like, I was like, well, I'll just, quick save here and I'll be okay with that. And I get to loading points just because the game is so fucking huge. I'm like, okay, I just thought that was a kind of a drawback. I'm like, whatever, it's just a big game. Hopefully this is the end of this chapter and I can go into the next level and I'll be like, where am I in this game? It never stopped. And finally dawned on me about halfway through the game, like, there are no levels in this game. It's a giant experience. And I was like, once I actually figured that out, I actually took into like a bigger medium, like, wow, this is a lot cooler than I thought.
So it almost went from your chapter-based games like even GoldenEye, to almost like a theme park ride. How linear it is and how it just kind of naturally progress from stage to stage without necessarily even you noticing. No, I mean there are loading screens, aren't there?
But there are very big loading screens. Even with I think the PC, obviously, it's a lot better, but for PS2, because they had to compress the fuck out of it, which is actually a port from the Dreamcast that never got released. And I know Gary is very much familiar with this.
Yeah.
Gary, Dreamcast with Half-Life 2. Half-Life 1, I'm sorry.
I can hear him raging already.
Now, the loading screens were fucking atrocious. They were really, 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 really fucking bad. If you ever can, get a hand of, PlayStation 2 Half-Life, I'm sorry, but it was still a very good experience, and that kind of like what got me into everything.
And again, it was because it was almost so to the point where it was linear, but it wasn't broken up. There wasn't really a chance for you to kind of catch your breath. The game would just continue.
No, it just kept on going.
And like you were saying earlier, it had it told its game not necessarily through exposition or narration, but by experiences. Like you would delve into the game deeper on your own if you wanted to find the secrets, like the G-Man or the bigger story that's happening in the background, or you could just blow your way through it and kill everybody.
Yeah.
It was up to you to find out more.
Exactly.
Which is kind of surprising for a game that, like you said, runs on pretty much a track. From beginning to end, there's not really much room for exploration.
Even for in simple game design, the whole point of a video game, you're trying to build a world and make it seem like it's bigger than it is, even though you have walls around you. And Half-Life did that perfectly, where you are literally stuck in the space, and you can feel like this world is living around you. Even when you actually escape out of the base, you actually see the Grand Canyon. I think it was Grand. It was Black Mesa.
It's supposed to be Area 51, Black Mesa, so probably Arizona.
So even when you step out, holy shit, this is still cool. Even I had that experience of I know there's a wall over there, but I still didn't get that feeling of there is no walls. I'm fucking trapped in a maze, and I'm still you're trying to fight your way out of this so you don't fucking die because all the military soldiers are coming out to fucking kill you.
Yeah,
it still felt cool. I still didn't have that feeling of this is a video game. I actually felt like this was more of a bigger experience than it was.
Almost like there wasn't a fourth wall. It was actually an enveloped world that you were in. There was that. It was immersive.
Immersive, yes. Even though what helped that was the silent protagonist of Gordon Freeman.
And the silent protagonist is something that you see more. It's almost a cliche these days.
It's almost necessary, though, I think. I mean, look at Samus for the longest time. Samus was a silent protagonist for a long time, and of course in the other M she started speaking and she's like monotone and oh my god my life is so broken.
Monotone and obvious and redundant, and everything she was saying you figured out already.
Yeah, she was very stupid. Which is a very horrible thing because I built Samus a lot more powerful in my mind.
Yeah, she was. That's what you do with a silent protagonist. It's up to you to decide who they are.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought she was a lot more powerful until she fucking opened her mouth like, "Oh, you're just stupid." Great.
So in a game like Zelda or Pokemon or Half-Life, Portal, these are protagonists you kind of build up yourself, and even though it doesn't have like the RPG elements of you can decide how their character tree or perk set up, you're still deciding what personality they have.
Yeah.
So you were either, the scientist who was just in over his head, the office nut job who was finally happy that shit hit the fan so he could finally open fire on everybody, Yeah. It was up to you to decide who he was.
No, I loved Gordon Freeman as a character, even though he didn't speak, because he was just a highly intelligent person who just was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, and that's not even...
He always fought himself out of it, too. So.
And that's not even... he could have been, like, the absolute worst at his job,
He could have been really worse at his job. He even could have been a pedophile. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really up to you, and that's the genius of the silent protagonist. So now we've described why Half-Life hitting the scene, I guess, changed first-person shooters from that point, because ever since then you've had things like Dishonored, Gears of War, that essentially attempt to make that same scratch kill zone where they try and make the story happen while you're running through it, like I said, a theme park ride, but they always seem to hit the mark. Mm-hmm. And I mean that's partially because of Valve's excellent writing.
No, Valve has superior writing. I always love their games.
But then we move on to Half-Life 2. Now, Half-Life 2 is, again, another step in the genre of first-person shooter. Can you tell us a bit of what introduced?
It hit another standard, it hit another bar, and it also hit another rage, because don't you remember Half-Life 2 being postponed?
I don't. Like I said, I hadn't played Half-Life 2 until Orange Box, so by then it had already been out, and the pseudo-sequels were out.
Of course.
Episode 1 and Episode 2.
So Half-Life 2 had a release date, and everybody pre-ordered. Was really excited because they saw the new screen footage. They saw the tech demos that they were releasing. Like, look, there's actual water physics. There's these things. There's the engine, and everything looked fucking marvelous. Like, the Source engine looked never better. It was just incredible. And when I first saw it, I was just blown away. I'm like, I have to own a PC for this. This is amazing. And basically what happened, somebody hacked into Valve and stole the source code and the game and everything and started leaking it out online of all, like, I forgot how much of the game actually got leaked out, but a lot of essential big parts of the writing and whatnot, everything was spoiled before it was even released. They were able to catch it, and they were like, you know what, we're stopping production for a while, and then we're going to rewrite the game.
Ha! Kind of a fuck you.
Pretty much, yeah. So it set them back a long ways, but it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, though, for them, because it was kind of like a rewrite. It was things that didn't work, like in the first draft. It was kind of like the first draft of Half-Life 2. They're like, yeah, fuck it, and then just write a second draft, and the second draft apparently was even better. And
they were able to see what the impact was of Half-Life 2 before they even released it. See what people thought of the beta, almost.
It was, essentially the beta. And, they sent it back a monumental money they lost, but in the long run, they made all that back, and it's still a fucking fantastic, you wouldn't say polished game, even if it was rushed.
I mean, the Source engine, too, was huge. It was a physics engine. It was the first, the physics puzzles were the first of their kind.
Oh, yeah.
Where you had, weight puzzles, where you would have to, put so much on a teeter-totter just to get yourself lifted up to reach a platform that was higher, in a 3D environment that hadn't really been done before, at least not well.
No, they built this physics engine specifically and to make puzzles, and I think that's, fucking incredible.
Yeah, it felt like the world actually had substance to it, mass. Things that were heavy,
Yeah. And then they introduced the gravity gun, which everybody loves now.
The explosions meant more because you would see enemies go flying.
Oh, yeah.
There was throwback with explosions on you. You would be pushed back. And like you said, the gravity gun. It was a new gameplay mechanic that hadn't been seen before. And when you have a world that feels like it actually has weight, and you have an exciting way to manipulate that world, you have the recipe for an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm. One thing what Valve was starting to promise after the release of Half-Life 2, they wanted to do episodic episodes like episode 1, episode 2, and then episode 3. There's going to be 3 more episodes of Half-Life 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3 never got released, so the storyline is still unfinished, and that's why everybody's been waiting for like the new, Half-Life 3 and the new Source engine. But going back to that, the reason why they were going to polish them out a lot faster, they want to do episodes, because Hammer was invented, was just basically a Source editor.
Yeah.
And you can actually just download those for free. Anybody can get Hammer and play with Source and make your own games.
Gary's Mod too.
Exactly. I mean, you can, take all the puzzle pieces, whatever, like, oh, look, fucking levels, and that was the whole point of it. Like, just throw it out a lot faster. All they needed was a script and some of the voice actors, and you can fucking do that. Now,
we've discussed what Half-Life has meant to the industry, and maybe explained why it's so in such big demand that people will look for any clue that we see the next game on the horizon. What would Half-Life 3 mean, other than the fact that a bunch of gamers would go nuts? What does it mean to the industry, to development? What do you believe we will see in Half-Life 3?
Well, a long time ago, after we haven't seen what Half-Life Episode 3 for a long time, I thought that, I think they were working on a new Source engine. Technically, they were. When Portal 2 came out, that was just another upgrade of the original Source engine. They just kind of upgrade their Source engines and not really release a full new blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And kind of like Unreal. Because Unreal 4 right now? I don't even know what they're on.
I have the engines. I know the Unreal engine, the Havoc engine, Source.
Yeah, so, and I told myself that I believe that if they would release Half-Life 3, it would have to be another staple. Because, with Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, those would have been, perfect staples, and they would have to up their game even more this point. Because they would have to release a whole new Source engine with, fucking bells and whistles to blow Unreal Engine out of the fucking water and make it almost, I guess, available to everybody. They were even saying that they will release a new Source engine and they'll make it free to developers.
So you're thinking that Half-Life 3 would mean, I guess, the next step in the first-person shooters, almost evolution. The next step in gameplay.
And a new engine and technology. It's not just about gameplay. I think it's also about technology at this point. I mean, what I see Steam and Valve doing, I see Steam trying to release a home console where everybody can play, high-end PC or even just right in their living room. And after they just do one step at a time, all right, we got everybody in their living room again. We got everybody playing our stuff. Now we need to release a product to, make them want to buy our stuff more. Because everybody on Steam now, you've just dabbled in Steam.
I love Steam. Steam is incredible.
For the longest time, you fought against the...
I never really fought against console. PC gaming,
maybe.
But I was more of a console boy. And now that I have built my PC and everything, I definitely see the need for almost the iTunes for gaming, essentially.
So, I don't know, what was I talking about again?
Well, we were talking about what does Half-Life 3 mean to the industry, why
it's gonna make another staple, basically. I think, and that's a big bar that I think almost Valve is even afraid of. Even I would be afraid of. And how do you fill your own shoe?
How do you recapture what you've done in the past, where it was a huge first step? Half-Life 2, Half-Life 1 were huge first steps that other people have built on.
Mm-hmm. I'm still worried that it's not going to be as good as Half-Life 2 or even Episode 1 and 2.
So that's why they haven't released it yet, essentially.
I have those fears, man. Even with Duke Nukem Forever and Portal 2, you got these big monsters, maybe they made it too good and they can't. I don't know.
So,
do you have any worries or concerns for Half-Life 3 at all?
That's what the hype section's about, Jerry.
I fuck off.
We're almost there. We're almost
there to our actual topic of me talking about the actual topic.
We just need to close out the Half-Life 3 section here and talk about what it would mean when it comes out.
People flip their shit.
People will flip their shit.
Even if it's bad or good, people will flip their shit.
Well, it'll sell. It'll sell like hotcakes.
Even if it's bad, I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
I bought Duke Nukem Forever.
Because the idea was, like you said, Half-Life has redefined the industry in every generation it's come out. When it comes out, we have another big step. Essentially, we're waiting for the next Almost the second coming of gaming.
Yeah, the second Jesus of gaming.
That's essentially exactly what I just said, except you specifically said Jesus.
I said Jesus.
Gaming, Half-Life is
Gaming
Jesus.
Jesus.
Half-Life is Jesus.
His Valve Jesus.
It came, it showed us the way, and now we're waiting for it to come back and show us again.
All right, if they released Half-Life 3 for $100, would you buy it?
No.
No?
That's ridiculous and stupid. I'm not going to pay more for a game. I mean,
No, I'm just asking. Like, how much would you buy for Half-Life 3, though?
Here's a question. Do you think Half-Life 3, because Valve has notoriously made this IP kind of showcase the technology and what they can do as their first step, are they waiting for new technology to become available, or are they just developing it?
From the weird skeptical rumors of people looking in the windows of Valve, I hear that...
And getting shot by Gabe.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn!
I'm eating them squirrels! And protein. Every time I make a Valve joke.
I love how Gabe sounds. Anywho.
Apparently for the longest time they weren't working on Half-Life 3 for whatsoever. Like there might have been like one or two guys dilly-dallying with something.
so there, I mean,
that was the rumor, and that was the rumor like, no, we're not working on Half-Life 3. Nobody really is. Maybe like one or two guys are talking about writing or like the storyline, or maybe just futzing, with maybe some engine parts. And like you see Valve like hire like software engineers, whatever, but they're a software company, of course they are, and people are like, oh my god, they're making a new Source engine, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, they could be, they already could have it already out right now.
Yeah,
I mean, they're very secretive, and with the wellness of Steam, I mean, they can just fucking do Steam for the rest of their lives and make so much fucking bank off that.
Valve has never really been a company just kind of to sit back and rake it in. They've always been up to something.
And that's why I say like they're very secretive, and it kills me because they're like one of the most secretive companies out there of what they develop, and like even more secret than like Square Enix, because they're like Final Fantasy, and that's about all they do.
Yeah, Square Enix is almost the anti-Valve, where as far as Valve is always trying to better themselves, you have Square Enix that's quite content in sitting where they are.
I mean, we've heard rumors like, say, EA was like trying to develop a home console for a long time, and they just said, fuck it, it's not that profitable. They just stick with Madden and shit. Yeah, they just do whatever the market is eating at the time. But Valve does like to do like the extra step. They made a console, a streaming device if you already have a PC. And I do believe the Source engine is already done. I think they're just polishing it right now, and I think they're gonna probably release a trailer to Half-Life 3 maybe in the next year or two.
You heard it first. Half-Life 3 confirmed. Here,
confirmed.
Captain Nostalgia, who is, I'm going to remind you, primarily his head is in the past, maybe 95% of his day, with old McDonald's toys and Ninja Turtles and
Ghostbusters.
He's now a prophet, which is the complete opposite of nostalgia. Prophet nostalgia does not make any sense. Congratulations. You've completely demolished your entire brand there. So let's close it up. You believe that Half-Life 3 is still on the way.
Yes.
You believe that it will bring forth a new age in the first-person shooting genre.
With the new engine that I think that they're working on, they have to set another bar. I mean, they fucking made these bars. They got to set them up again. My question is like, what in this engine is capable of? I want to know.
That's a good question. Is Half-Life 3? Can it possibly? Is there another step for us to take? Is there anywhere else for first-person shooters to go? Is there room for improvement? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Because even with each Source engine, like Half-Life, Portal 2 had to be modified to figure out how to do those reflective surfaces with the portals, like just the infinite portal of looking down.
Where you can see yourself and see yourself and see yourself.
Yeah, that was not, of course, in the original source code of Source. They had to spend a couple weeks doing that. But, each Source engine release had something added to it. If it's going to be a whole new Source engine, what is going to be added to this? What is going to make this so magnificent? Because with Half-Life 2, we got physics, and we got like cool little puzzles. Where can we go?
Is there even a point at this juncture of time in, I suppose, guessing what the next Half-Life could bring us? Because physics engine, physics puzzles. Yeah. If you were to go back in time and sit there and think about Half-Life 2 when Half-Life 1 was out, would you predict that the next step would be a physics engine.
I wouldn't have, actually. I probably wouldn't have.
So it could be, I mean, we could be looking at, if Half-Life 2 does actually mean another step, could we be looking at maybe just an incredible AI upgrade? Could we be looking, it could be anything, really.
It could be an AI upgrade. You know, DICE was working on, with their engine, the photorealistic cameras.
Yeah.
Actually incorporating into their engine. If like the new Star Wars Battlefront, the game looks gorgeous. I mean, if you actually take a step back, I'm like, wow, some of the trees and the snow look absolutely gorgeous. And if they probably develop something similar technology with that, I mean, with what they can do with maybe faces or like, you know, because we already have motion capture. People already move normally in games now.
Yeah, it's the uncanny valley is right now what's kicking our ass, which
Exactly.
is what you're talking about, eliminating, getting to the point where it actually looks cinematic all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing about the Half-Life series is it's never been big on, I guess, character design. Half-Life, the original, you had like the same three guys repeated over and over again. Half-Life 2 expanded on that, but still everyone had that weird doll-like kind of... They had more facial expression.
They did.
But it's still... I mean, you can definitely tell it's fake.
Of course.
So...
But this game, Half-Life 2, is, what, how old now? Like 10, 15 years?
It's an older game.
And it's still actually... if it was released today, I would kind of brush it off as like a normal PC game that just got released.
Yeah.
But even so, that's still very impressive that it still holds a big standard.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
to
it
this
was
day.
graphically in its time. It was ahead of its time. Mm-hmm. Which is why Half-Life 3, I think the ultimate point to make here is that Half-Life 3 is so important because Valve has always been ahead of their time. Mm-hmm. And they've brought everyone else with them. Kind of like, I'm going to get even nerdier here, Star Trek.
Star Trek.
First Contact, when the Vulcans came and brought everybody with them to their technology.
Yes.
And brought the future to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost what Valve, I believe, is going to do.
You're welcome.
They're going to bring us the future, which is why that's why I'm hyped for it.
But here's the thing: if they bring us the future, they also have to make it affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why. Then when I first freaked out that this new Source engine will be available for free for developers, and that blew my fucking mind. I'm like, I get to believe.
Don't whisper on a podcast. I'm not going to fucking whisper anymore.
All right. So we can move on there. That's a pretty good way to tie it up there.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll move on to, if you've never listened to our show before, we're going to do our favorite segment, Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hello, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Gary is, of course, a friend of the show. He's almost our tech guy now.
Yeah, tech support.
He's always there to support the new episodes, watch the streams. Gary's our go-to guy, and we show him our love by saying,
"Hi, Gary."
Hi, Gary.
You know what? I believe Gary's actually coming down this week.
Oh, maybe we can have him in an episode.
Yeah, that'd be fucking great. Gary, do you want to come on a podcast? Gary? Why is he answering?
Okay, that was really corny. And I'm keeping it in the episode.
Good, that's fine.
So,
oh, never mind. I was going to say a naughty word.
Don't do that.
Okay.
And that was Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
All right, our shut up. Our next segment, we're talking about hype. And essentially the reason, of course, for talking about Half-Life 3 is because, A, it's been, like I said, the most hyped game in the industry since, like, Daikatana.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the dangers of hype, what hype is, for the very basic of it, why hype is good, how it drives the industry, how it's dangerous. Now, again, the reason we're talking about hype is because, once again, we had another red herring of Half-Life 3 confirmed. So it's just another almost to the point where you're not quite ready to give up on Half-Life 3 yet, but it does push you a little closer. Now, a couple of examples of where hype has damaged the industry has been, in my opinion, Watch Dogs.
Oh, Watch Dogs was an awful one. I remember watching that.
And the best way to define hype is by Watch Dogs, I believe, because you have a game that, in its own right, was good.
It's a fine game.
If you were to give it a letter grade, I'd say maybe a B-. I mean, it's fun to play. It introduces a few new ideas. It's not in any way broken.
I would probably give it a C. It's so in the middle for me that I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
But basically what happened was you had this game that Ubisoft had felt was going to be, huge.
Bigger than Grand Theft Auto.
But when we got it, it was mediocre. So you had a company that was, once again, just pushing and pushing and pushing and advertising and shouting and saying, this is the game you need. And the gaming public also got themselves worked over in a froth by going, oh, this is going to be amazing. I mean,
we're kind of into that too, though.
We are as a what would you call it?
Minions.
No, gamers as a subculture are easily excited, and we do it to each other.
Yeah, Dishonored.
So when you have a game that's also being pushed by the publisher as the next big thing, we get ourselves all worked up, and then when the truth comes out and it's underwhelming, we tend to rage about that as well.
Yeah.
So hype is essentially just that. It's getting excited for something that you don't have yet and don't know about yet, essentially. You make it all up in your head, and they assist by going, you want this, you want this, you want this, you want this.
I want. I don't want this.
And when you get it and you don't want it, and that's hype. And hype can be a great step. I mean, if they hadn't hyped up Pokemon back when it first came out, or now Yokai Watch,
yeah,
it probably would have flopped.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also be extremely detrimental. The examples like you were talking about earlier. Your favorite game ever, Duke Nukem Forever.
My favorite game of Duke Nukem Forever
was that was a game that was hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped.
Well, Duke Nukem is coming back, and blah 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 blah. It's like he's finally here, guys, and he's awesome, and blah blah blah. And people play it and go, "This is garbage." You know, I didn't believe anybody. I literally did not believe when it was like, "Dude, it's fucking garbage." Like, I don't.
That's because the hype you had, not only that you hadn't been shown, but the stuff you've built up in your head, you like almost refuse to believe that this game isn't going to be, your new messiah, essentially.
Well, I knew it probably was going to be the greatest thing ever, but I'm like, it can't be that bad. And it wasn't that bad. Again, if you're looking at it as a kind of like a homework experiment.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like one of those games you buy on the cheap, like when it's in a discount bin. And at that, it'll kill some time. It'll entertain you for a little while.
I got to slap titties against the wall.
And I
got an achievement for it.
It's exactly, and that's the thing. With Duke Nukem Forever, you can argue that at least it's close to what it should have been.
It was.
But your imagination is always going to make these things out to be vastly better than they could possibly be. Like we talked about last week, Dishonored.
Yeah.
Or next week, if you're watching on YouTube, look forward to that. It's a game that we wanted to be as good as they were telling us, and it just couldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, a few games that I'm worried about right now. No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky is a very big worry for me.
It's incredibly hyped, and once again, I believe they're promising more than can possibly be delivered, or even if it can be delivered, there won't be an entertaining way to make my imagination of what I want to do in this game match reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think having a little grain of salt, instead of hyping yourself up, maybe getting to the point where you're kind of pensive about anything you step into, it'll save your wallet sometimes.
I'd say my wallet a couple of times. I got burned. I mean, again, with Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer.
I believe everyone's gotten burned by hype. Hype is what drives sales in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
Without...
they need hype to sell the shit.
Without it, and most of the time, like I said, it's not even the publisher that's hyping these things up. It's the gaming news sites. It's the gaming environment itself.
Fucking look at Kotaku's articles, man.
Yeah.
Half those articles like, oh my god, it's the best fucking game ever! And I'm like, okay.
And I mean,
that's good.
I've been hyping up a game to Jerry pretty much all week and demanding he play. Undertale, by the way. I'll get more into that later.
No, he's been in the elevator before he came up in the bedroom.
It's just what happens. You have this experience and you want to share it with others, which is a form of hype.
Well, that's the right thing to do. Like when I first played Vanquish for the first time, I thought it was just so ridiculously unnecessary that I loved it so much. I'm like, if you're a fan of action, stupid anime and movies and shit like that, this is totally the game for you. But otherwise, no, don't fucking get it. But I loved it so much, and I want to share it with everybody. But not, I think maybe 2% of people I recommended it to only bought it and enjoyed it.
Yeah. Can you think of what's the time you got hype burned? You
hype burned?
Where you got burned on the hype that, hey, let's try industry hype and I guess
friend hype?
Yes, friend hype.
Friend hype and industry hype.
I'm going to say the most recent time I got burned on hype was probably we'll say GoldenEye Reloaded.
GoldenEye Reloaded? Oh, that's an industry hype for sure.
That one I just no. It was me hyping myself up because
That was you?
the game was entirely what it was set out to be. Mm-hmm. The game was
It was a reimagining.
It was a reimagining of GoldenEye on the Wii U, the PS3, the Xbox 360. I had built it up in my head that this was going to be the greatest multiplayer game ever, because how couldn't it be? GoldenEye was basically the first step in first-person shooter multiplayer.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer, when I played it, was closer to Call of Duty. There wasn't that cartoony fun that I remember. Mm. It was realistic. There wasn't the floating guns and ammo and stuff.
Yeah, it was essentially a reimagining of Call of Duty with a James Bond skin.
And I was pissed. And it was more pissed about myself because I was the one who just completely made this thing out in my head. And I actually sold it back that day for a little more than half of what I paid for it.
I remember you getting it, and then you messaged me through Facebook, and you told me about that, and I was like, really? You sold it already? I'm like, I would have fucking bought it off you.
Another time, I actually was overhyped for Amiibo more often than not.
I find myself like, should I buy this Amiibo? But I'm like thinking in my head, like, am I hyping myself up for this? Or is it the industry? Or is it just the whole fanboy nature of people like rushing that whole mad sense, like, buy, no, or else you'll never fucking get it again. I'm like, I have to buy this. Why am I buying this?
Yeah. I did that with Palutena. Because it's sitting there and you have all those stupid voices in your head going, you need this. It's going to be rare. You're never going to get this chance again. And it's like,
you have to buy it now.
I have to get it now, or I won't get it later.
Fucking Olimar. That's the reason why I have Olimar. I did want Olimar, but I had to buy him right there. I couldn't wait.
That's the only reason I have Palutena, is because the voices in my head saying, you want this? And like reality is just like, you're not really that big fan of Kid Icarus.
No, they're cool little figurines and I love them, but I never use them for actually what they're worth for like Smash Brothers or the secret stuff. And they kind of just sit on my shelf as a collectible, and that's totally cool with me. I mean,
I like the Amiibos, but there's just some of them that, I more or less only have because I'm an idiot and let myself I talk myself into things.
That's okay.
We're going to talk a bit more about when I got burned in the fuck you of this week, because I have a fuck you. Oh, do I?
You have a fuck you?
Our fuck yous, it's pretty much the last segment we talk about. It's what we felt has screwed us over this week, and I have a fuck you. And if you haven't...
Scott needs a vent, apparently.
If you haven't figured out who my fuck you is at yet, you haven't been paying attention. So, when were you burned, Jerry?
When was I burned? The latest one I can probably feel like I was burned was probably Animal Crossing Happy Home Design, if you guys are casual listeners. It's the latest one that I got burned on, and I love Animal Crossing, and I picked it up and I played it, and I felt like it was just a small portion of a bigger game that I usually play.
Yeah, you definitely were butthurt over that one. You wanted that to be good, and when it came out, you were really let down.
I bought it at Impulse Buy too. Like, I didn't even know it was actually coming out that day. I went to the store to pick up my 3-pack of Amiibos of Rob the Robot, Game & Watch, and Duck Hunt. The DuckTales guy.
DuckTales would be kick-ass!
That'd be very
Duck Hunt, yes.
And I'm like, after this came out today, I'm like, holy shit, you got any more left? I'm like, yep, you probably should buy it now because blah, 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 blah. And
it won't be around forever.
And here's the thing, they couldn't get rid of the 3-pack that I pre-ordered.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere.
And I was so worried about it because 2 of the figurines I desperately wanted, such as, Rob and Game & Watch, but I also think in my head, like, oh, I'm an idiot. Nobody likes the things I like, so it should be really easy to come by.
Yeah, I remember pre-ordering that one, too. I talked you into getting that pre-order.
You called me. And
you know what? I think we hype each other out more than anything.
No, actually, you messaged me about it. I pre-ordered it 5 minutes later. I actually called Tim up, and like, Tim, you probably should pre-order. I was like, holy shit, man, I didn't know about that either.
We hyped Tim into Amiibo to begin with. Tim is, of course, another friend of the show. He's got his own Facebook page, fans of...
Clobber Dude Gaming, I think it is.
But isn't it like fans of video games on Facebook?
Fans of video games on Facebook.
Is his Facebook group. You should definitely like that. It's entertaining to see. I mean, he's got an entire collection of things that... He's got more Amiibos than I think we have.
I'm starting up a new channel called...
We'll talk about that later. Talk about that towards the end.
Well, yeah, I was going to say bringing Tim onto it later on.
Oh, yeah. Bring Tim. Well, so Tim can collaborate.
Yeah, so Tim has a huge, vastly superior collection of Amiibos. His goal was to pretty much collect every single Amiibo. And if anybody who was actually hyped up for anything, I think Tim hypes himself up too sometimes.
Oh, yeah, Tim does.
Like, he freaks out over these things. And Tim's a great guy, and I love him. His collection is
It's
Sometimes
massive.
It's massive. It's really impressive.
We introduced Tim to Animal Crossing, which may have been like the silver
He didn't
bullet.
believe us for the longest time. He didn't think
Because
that
we
was
kept hyping it.
Yeah, and we got them hyping it. But
So-
he actually did get into it, and yeah, it kind of destroyed his life. He played more than once. He bought another 3DS to play 2 copies at once.
So
Believe that shit.
let's wind up here with: do you believe hype is evil, or do you believe it's like a necessary evil? Do you think?
I think it's a necessary evil, but you have to read between the lines, though. You got to go, okay, this is cool, but why is it cool? And unfortunately, they always hype pre-orders now. This is what I fucking hate. I'm like, fucking pre-order this now. You need to fucking pre-order and get this DLC pack, or you never get it again.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, fuck you guys. And then sometimes I'm into that. The last pre-order I bought was for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 to get the Nuketown 2033, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And I can't even fucking play it online. They fucking locked me out, so I'm really pissed off about that. But yeah, got a pre-order with that hype and can't even play my level that I wanted it for.
Honestly, I think if you take a step back and don't take it too seriously, because like I said, hype drives sales in the industry. You need it in order to have. You need to make sales.
Yeah.
You need to have money rolls on it. Money is defined by hype, and
Well, if they don't get money, they can't make more games.
and if you don't let yourself just get burned every once in a while, and because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story when they felt stupid for buying a game because of what they heard, what they saw. Daikatana.
I got a burnt story that I
Yeah.
just remembered one. Crisis 2.
Really?
No, it was being told to me that it was the next evolution of first-person shooters, of the graphics, the visuals,
Basically
the stealth play.
Half-Life 3.
Half-Life. It was basically the next Half-Life, blah, blah, blah. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I have to check this out. And playing through the game, and you can pretty much go through the whole game without actually firing a weapon and just stealth kill, and then you're just done with the game. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you can just breeze right through it. It was apparently way too fucking easy because you were so overpowered. I played it. It was fine. I wasn't really too butthurt. I was more disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was one of those, I guess, friend hype.
That's the thing, is I believe hype it makes you feel more united with the gaming community because everyone is in on it together then. That's why it's more fun to play a new game when it's just coming out.
Yeah.
Because the internet's huge. You go on Tumblr and it's just endless memes of the same game.
Remember the hype of Splatoon, dude?
Oh, it's still going on.
No, like, you were fucking like, I gotta see if I can sell this or get this, I get Splatoon. Like, you were finding shit to sell so you can afford Splatoon. And you just ended up, just bought it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you fucking enjoyed it. And Kelly, my girlfriend, she, was going apeshit over trying to get it too. She, of course, bought it too. And
Yeah, and it's just, it's the hype held up.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally that'll happen, in which the hype is totally valid and worth it.
Well, we were sold immediately because you invited me and Kelly over.
And had you play it, right?
Yeah, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is great.
It is fun. It
was bright. It was colorful, and it was just enjoyable. I wasn't even stressing out when I was losing in the team. That was one of the best things about the multiplayer. I didn't stress out. I didn't get angry.
Oh yeah, there's without the I have no idea. Yeah,
The voice chat and the fact that they don't have it, I'm like, you know what? That's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear those fucking brats.
well, that's just it. The hype. It's a way for you to feel connected with everybody else. Because you're all on it together. You can feel like you know what everyone's talking about. It's just another meme out there.
Yeah.
But in the end, it lets you, like I said, it's a great way to keep everyone connected. Mm-hmm. Because you all get yourself all worked up for it. You can all suffer together then. You can all celebrate together. And that's why I really believe that hype is necessary.
Yeah. Star Wars Battlefront.
Shut up.
Star Wars fucking Battlefront.
All right, so you want to move on to our end cap here, our last few segments. Last few segments, for those of you who are new to the show, our first segment is going to be our rare candy, which is the rename of our random encounters. Rare candy is basically describing, because Jerry is an avid collector of everything gaming, everything in general.
Yes.
But so we usually ask him what he's found this week. Jerry, do you have a rare candy for this week?
Yes, I do, actually.
What did you find?
Oh, my girlfriend works with this very nice girl named Kristen, and she was talking to her, and was like, "Oh, Jerry, yeah, he collects all that stupid shit, blah, blah, blah."
He's a stupid shit.
And like all like, the McDonald's stuff, whatever. She's like, and she was like, "Oh, my dad has a bunch of that stuff just laying around in boxes and boxes." And he's like, "I'll bring a box over, and you guys can just take it off our hands. It'd be a lot easier." And I was like, "Oh, that's fine." She comes over on Friday, and she's like, "I got a box for you." I'm just like, "Okay, a box." I'm imagining like a shoebox.
Yeah.
And just filled with like 5 or 6 little things. No, it's an actual goddamn like orange box. Like, you know, like the whole like you put orange crates in, like oranges.
Oh yeah.
And just and there's got to be like 30 or 50 toys in here. I'm like, oh my god.
Toys for what?
McDonald's fast food stuff.
So the old 90s McDonald's toys?
90s and 80s McDonald's toys. I'm like looking at it, it's like, oh my god. Like the old the McNuggets and whatever in there. But
now,
I'm sorting through all this stuff. But there was this one little funny, awesome gem. Mario 3 Raccoon.
Oh my god. Raccoon Mario McDonald's toy, essentially.
Yes. It was just sitting there. I'm like, oh my god. Like I just got goosebumps. There's Batman. There's like all these just awesome gems of just basically just nostalgia. But, you know, that just finding that little Mario 3 Raccoon. And she's like, it's like, you sure you want to get this? Like, you know, take this. I got like 5 more boxes. I'll bring them up to you later. I'm like, holy shit.
Now, to the average person, this would almost be a burden, but
it is to her.
Do you want to explain your upcoming project on YouTube now?
Well, Scott, for the pounce of many, many years, has called me Captain Nostalgia because all I do is collect and I talk and I research about these classic toys that I love so much.
From your childhood of the 90s, you were a 90s, late 80s, early 90s kid.
Exactly. And I love these toys and I love the colors. I love what they represent and it just makes me feel good. And being called Captain Nostalgia for numerous years, I'm like, fuck it. I'm actually going to make the persona. So I'm going to start the YouTube channel and it's going to be tied in with NullSpace, and we're going to continue forth with this, and I'm going to make it as comical as possible.
The Adventures of Captain Nostalgia.
It's almost going to be a story episodic, very short, but mostly about the content, of course, and getting this box of stuff, along with the thousands of other shit that I have stored away. I'm just going to bring them all out, talk about toys and movies. Toys, video games, VHSs, whatever have you.
All right. We'll go on from there to our, I guess...
Did you have a rare candy, by the way?
No.
You didn't have any rare candy?
I didn't this week. I suppose my rare candy this week will be the game I'm playing this week.
Something happy?
Yes. So we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. Do you want to talk about, I suppose, anything, what would we call a good thing? You know, our hooray of the week kind of thing.
Our shiny happy?
What do we usually call it?
I don't even know.
Do we have a name for it?
No. Our positive thought of the week?
Happy Thoughts. We'll call it Happy Thoughts.
Happy Thoughts.
So we're going to talk about our Happy Thoughts this week. Happy Thoughts is the new name for a segment in which we find a good surprise in the industry, something that kind of shocked you, something neat that happened, a positive thumbs up to someone in the industry. Jerry, do you have a happy thought this week?
I have a huge happy thought this week.
He's got a huge heart-on for Happy Thought this week.
So... It's been very long since I've actually, you know...
This better not be about McDonald's toys.
It's not about McDonald's toys. I wish it was, but I'll talk about that for later for a different thing. But you know that moment when you're sitting down and playing a game for over 5 hours and you haven't not even noticed like 5 hours have passed?
Like you haven't blinked and suddenly the sun's coming up?
Yes, and then you like start moving your legs and like, oh my god, and you're like stuck froze like, oh! And you're
I usually don't have medical issues, but go on.
I finally had that moment again for the first time in, say, like maybe a year or two, like where everything, my body hurt because I haven't moved or blunk in 5 hours. I was playing, of course, from last week's episode, I'm still playing Saints Row 4. I got deeper into the game. I pretty much like overpowered my character and I haven't progressed yet further in the story because I want to make sure I am completely maxed out on my character abilities before I go to level 2.
So who's Saints Row? Who's the publisher on that?
That's Deep Silver and Volation.
So you want to give a thumbs up, your happy thoughts and thumbs up to those two?
Well, those guys they made a fucking game that was just another game. It was silly, it's wacky, it's stupid, and I got to like punch a glitching old lady who was shoving her cooter in my face and then set her on fire while a monster demon rained hellfire came down on me. Threw, a power jump 50 stories in the air, threw a fireball into his face, and everything exploded for 5 minutes.
Holy crap, this is Happy Thoughts, Jerry.
It was so fucking great. I'm like, this is the best moment. And I just did that for 5 hours. I'm just leveling up, and I love this game. It's a parody of all the movies like, you know, Matrix and other video games and shit like that. I'm like, this is so great. I still love this game. I love this game so much, Scott.
Yeah. My happy thought this week, I'll probably go back to Splatoon. Just a nice big thumbs up to Nintendo because of how much they updated this game. I believe they said January is going to be the last month for actual content updates.
Okay.
And I mean, really, this is the first time they've ever done that. Really, have a game where they continuously update with content like months and months after it's come out. And it's such a big game now with all the things they added that it was kind of like the gift that kept on giving.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
I was really excited for just the content I got when the first release.
Yeah.
First update.
I mean, they've added weapons, they've added maps. It's just... And they changed the music. And they keep continuing with Splatfest. We have a Splatfest this upcoming weekend again. If you haven't played it before, a Splatfest is kind of their monthly... It's almost like a monthly tournament, but not really. You have two sides of a vote. You join a team. Like this month, it's if you could travel through time. I know your answer. Would you travel to the past or travel to the future?
I stay where I am and kill myself.
Shut up. So you would say, I travel to the past, and you'd vote for that side. And then the winners of the Splatfest get basically stuff to update their character with. And it's a fun thing, and it's just Nintendo, you really, really did well with this game. I really hope you continue this idea of continuous content updates in the future, like I know they're doing with Mario Maker. I want to see that continue. So Nintendo, this was a good job. Keep it up. Thumbs up.
Good job, Nintendo.
All right. Now we move on to our fuck yous. I'm going to let you go first, because I have one. I'm going to rant for like 10 minutes straight.
Don't know if I have a many fuck you right now, because...
I have a fuck you.
You go. Go with your fuck you,
So my fuck you this week is to Oculus.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Oculus. Now, I was an early adapter for the Oculus. I got the
development kit.
The DK1, the first development kit. Paid $300 for it.
You had a party for that thing? It was awesome.
It is awesome. And I believe the next Oculus Rift, the consumer Oculus Rift, can only be more awesome than that. What isn't awesome is $600 for a price tag.
It was fucking,
which is double, mind you, close to double what they kept claiming it was going to be for months and months and months. And I know people are telling me, oh, if you weren't paying attention, that wasn't the price tag lately and all this stuff. And you get all this stuff with it. You get an Xbox One controller with it. And Oculus says you can sell that to knock off the price of the $600 price tag. Okay, fuck you. First of all, don't tell me how to make my money back from the product that you're selling me at the inflated price. Secondly, the reason they're claiming that it's a $600 price tag when they were saying a $300 is because when they originally announced it, they announced the Oculus Rift and a computer that they believe was able to use it at about a $1,500 price tag. And then people went nuts thinking the Oculus Rift was going to cost $1,500. So essentially what they're saying is they said $300 so that they could average it out, and when people wouldn't be surprised when it came out at $600. When you tell me the price is going to be $300, I expect the price to be fucking $300. You know,
I was actually assuming that you were playing $300 for the DK1 kit.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's pretty steep. And even I was kind of like, I could probably afford that. Even I was kind of like twiddling my thumbs, like, I can get it, but I'm going to wait for the actual release of the real thing, because I'm assuming that would be slightly less cheaper, like maybe like $50 cheaper, because they'll actually sort out all the bugs. They'll get things as a mass marketed, then things will actually be pushed on the board. Things will be cheaper. They'll use actual parts. They actually have the research done. Good to go. I was assuming maybe $250.
Yeah.
That was in my head, around $250. Because
I was ready to pay up to $400. I could have got myself to pay that. I'm sitting there and I waited. I was waiting for that pre-order on, what was it, Wednesday morning? I was waiting for it. I was refreshing. The website crashed. I was probably one of the reasons it crashed. And it popped up and everyone saw the price. And I remember them saying, oh, we won't sell out of pre-orders. And now I know why. Lower the price. I mean, I want this thing. I've been dying for this thing. Ever since I played the DK, I've been dying for virtual reality. Ever since I was a kid. This is the next step to the future.
Your DK1, you can still use it, can't you?
It's not compatible with a lot of the things that are out right now.
All right, so there's no patches or anything that nobody's
developed
yet? Okay.
Because, first of all, it's the DK1 had that really bad issue with the magnifying pixels. To the point where it looked like you were looking through a screen door.
Sure.
It's just...
I know they upgraded the screens on that.
I understand that you don't make much of a profit on the Oculus. I understand that this is the only of its kind out right now, except for the cell phone cardboard box thing that Gary keeps showing us. I mean, I understand, and I understand if you want $600 to be your price point, just don't fucking lie to me then.
That's fair.
That's my fuck you. Probably the most passionate fuck you I've ever had, but that's my fuck you this week.
No, that's cool, man. I totally respect that. Don't worry about it. Like, I want virtual reality to be, like, as close as I can be to, like, I don't even know, I can't even fathom how much that, that Microsoft augmented reality thing is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming maybe a $600 price tag for that fucking thing, too.
And the thing is, the Oculus is coming with 2 games that I don't want, but that's not their fault.
Yeah.
And it's coming with a controller I'm not going to use. Again, not their fault. And a couple other things. But these do not equal $300 alone. No. You know? And it's just...
Well, the download game, that's nothing.
All they're doing is they're hurting themselves when Sony comes out with theirs at a decent price of like I mean, I don't even pay that for consoles, you know?
No,
do you remember when the PlayStation 3 came out and was $600?
I laughed my ass off. I said they were doomed. They were close to being doomed, actually. I mean, they suffered a huge fucking loss because of that price.
It's $300 is just such a norm for the industry. It's just the perfect price point, you know? It's just in that point in your head where you're like, I could afford that and still afford to eat, you know? I can't justify a $600.
Yeah. Like, I splurged
accessory
on my PS4. That was a big purchase for me. But I also saved up for like a year.
Yeah.
To like, okay, little money goes aside, more little money goes aside, whatever. And I was happy with my purchase, and I still play my PS4, and it's fine.
Not to mention the fact that I can't justify putting $600 on something that I haven't tried yet. You know, I've tested the DK one. I really like it, but I have no idea what the actual consumer one is going to be like. Mm-hmm. I mean, the pre-orders right now, if I just sound like a complete idiot right now, they've got tons of pre-orders. It's a no money down pre-order that I believe you can cancel at any time in the future and won't be charged until the thing actually ships, which I think the last time I saw, they were saying May. Mm-hmm. So by all means, get it. Love it. Laugh at me for being too poor to afford it. But
it's a horrible thing to laugh at a person.
It's just Oculus. Really, I wanted so bad to have this have a happy ending.
Do you want to blame Facebook for that?
No.
No?
No. It might be Facebook. I don't want to. I don't want to have it happen. I don't want this to exist. I want them to lower the price and say, all right, I mean, even $450. If they're even just fucking messing with me and highballing it so that when they lower it $150, I pay for it, fine. I'll fall for it.
That might do it too. Like if there's not enough sales that actually happens, you know, that same thing happened with the 3DS with Nintendo. Remember?
Yeah.
It's like just... we paid the $250 price tag. We both did. Because we were blown away first day. We're like,
I was thrilled with the device.
I still am. Yeah. I had a great memories, even though I upgraded and we both sold our originals to get, you know, XLs. But anyways, yeah, they weren't making enough sales and they lowered the price to $169.99. But the people who originally bought were part of the ambassador program and we got 20 free games.
Yeah, which was nice. So, I mean, I want them to fix this. I want to be able to afford it. I want to be excited for this again. And that's why this is such a big fuck you, you know?
It's fair. It might happen. I mean, it really might just cost that might be $100 cheaper. They'll knock off the games and the controller maybe in about a couple months.
Even $500 is too much. I mean, this is new technology, and it will just get cheaper as time goes on. But it's new technology that I've been promised since I was in diapers, and I've been dying for. You know.
How do you think? What was it? The Morpheus from Sony. The same thing.
I have no. It's Sony. You know,
yeah.
It's just like, hey, you remember the Wonder Book? You remember the PlayStation Move? You remember the eye toy? Do you remember the Vita? You know, it's just
a PlayStation TV. That's my fuck you.
It's Sony. Your PlayStation TV was your fuck you last week.
I know. I'm still fucking with that thing.
Well, anyway,
it's still.
Do you want to move on to what are you playing?
I'm still playing Saints Row 4.
So, what are you playing this week? Like, is just our, you know?
Wait. I did bring up.
Oh, do you have a fuck you?
No, never mind.
I have to explain this segment. What are you playing? It's our weekly segment in which we just discuss the games we're playing. It could be the new release, could be something that came out months ago, could be some classic game. I hope we have a jingle for it by the time this episode comes out. I'll edit this out if we do, maybe not. Yeah. What are you playing? Did you? So what are you playing this week, Jerry?
I busted out my 3DS again for the first time in a long time.
You busted a nut on your 3DS?
Yes, I did, and it's broken now.
Oh. Okay. Anywho, what are you playing?
Addie, my girlfriend's daughter, just got Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Ah.
And she's been having, it's like, I need the fishing pole and blah. She needs all these things. And I haven't played Animal Crossing New Leaf in at least about a year now.
You didn't nuke your town, did you?
I didn't.
Oh.
Keep in mind, I have 2 towns. I have 2 games. I have a digital copy that I got for free from Nintendo, which was fine, so it's always on my problem. But I actually got a physical copy the first day.
Yeah.
So she needed some things. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just popped in my game again, and I started grabbing all the things, and I find myself going, this is fun. I started fishing again on my newer town and doing my things, and it was kind of nice little vacation in my head for about a good 2 hours, so I enjoyed that.
My what I'm playing this week is actually I'm going to retroactively change my game of the year from Fallout to Undertale. Yeah. I talked about it a little last week, and honestly, there's very little I can say about the game that isn't a spoiler. It's just, if you haven't played it yet, you have to. You have to try it. I mean, everything you've seen about it, unless you've actually looked up spoilers, the game you've built in your head is wrong. You have to try this because it is the best way to tell a story. The game is simple because it's simple. The graphics are simple. The gameplay is simple because it doesn't want to get in the way of the actual of what's happening in the story. And if you play it, there's multiple endings. I played it as if you were talking on a karma meter, I tried playing through the good ending. And I tried my best. and it was an incredible moving experience. And I've never played anything like it, really. So is
it only available in Steam right now?
I believe so. I believe it's only, and it has a bundle with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
If you're a chiptune fan, the soundtrack is incredible.
I love me some chiptunes, man.
And it's that. Do you know how you have those songs like Final Fantasy VII, like Aerith's theme? Despite the fact that you're not playing the game, will still bring up some amount of emotion. That's what the soundtrack is like. This music it's almost like, I know it's made specifically for this game, but it's almost so naturally tied in with the game that you would have thought this was an entire team working on it.
Wow.
And it's worth it. I can't gush about it anymore because
I've been hearing about this for the past hour, and apparently I need to play this. So.
It's worth it. I mean, your buddy Travis said no. I don't know.
Travis is butthurt about a lot of things.
I don't know if he doesn't have a soul, but I mean, if you can honestly play through this game, get past the first boss encounter without breaking your own heart, you don't have a soul. That's what I'm going to say.
I feel like I need to talk to Travis about this. Travis, I'm talking to you about this later.
Thanks for listening. Like I said, we'll have this updated to both our normal podcast site and YouTube probably the next day, and then next week on YouTube, push back to an older episode, last week's episode, in which we talk about the game of our games of the year, which I've just changed. And from then on, the podcast will come out a week earlier than the YouTube page. But this is, I hope, a nice way to expand our listener base. If you're listening for the first time, hope you liked it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun as always. Jerry,
happy gaming, everyone.
If you liked tonight's episode, please click to subscribe. To hear more of our podcast, visit the link in the video description or follow us on Facebook and Twitter at NullSpace Gaming.